Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick off today's video with the homeowner who discovers a 250-gallon propane tank buried in his yard, then gets hit with a debt collector call claiming he owes tank rent. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Propane company claims they own my tank. I bought my home in 2003. Among the boxes and signed papers was mention of a 250-gallon propane tank buried in the yard, something the previous owners used to heat part of the house. Since moving in, I've always used a will call propane company. Call when I need gas, they refill it. Some years I'd use half a tank, other years I didn't call at all. I've certainly never paid a lease or rental fee on a tank I own. Fast forward to last summer, no propane usage, nothing new in the yard. Then the other day, I get a call from a debt collector. I allegedly owe over $200 for unpaid tank rental. Not only that, but the propane company is threatening a lien if I don't pay. I laughed, literally, explained on the call that I own the tank, never rented, and never signed any agreement. The collector said I could contest it, and she forwarded me to the propane company, so I called them. Their response? The tank is ours unless you can produce a bill of sale proving it's yours. Flabbergasted, I dug through 2 decades of files, lender paperwork, closing disclosure, settlement statements, nothing specifically naming the tank. The company countered, your house sale contract doesn't list a propane tank, so we own it. Then why was it buried in my yard? People shrug this off until they hear the desk slammer. Today, while I was working, the propane company dispatched a contractor to my house to slap a Property of Propane Company sticker on my 60-year-old tank. Yes, on my tank. Funny because the tank dates to the 1960s. My house was built in the 80s. I'm guessing it was sold to the original owners 40 years ago, not least. At that very moment, my wife received a knock at the door. Our next-door neighbor recognized one of the former owners who sold the house to me back in the 2000s. The owner confirmed, yeah, I bought that tank in the 1980s from another company and it's still there. I immediately reached out to that propane vendor to see if they still have records. Meanwhile, I saved merchant copies of the debt collector notice and have captured security footage of the company rep arriving, peeling their sticker onto the corroded metal, and me removing it before it became permanent. Photos and high-res video included. I've already taken action. I submitted a formal dispute with the collection agency demanding they cease collection until they validate the debt. I asked to see a signed contract for tank rental. They can't produce one. I sent a detailed letter to the propane company demanding proof of ownership, official bill of sale, lease agreement, registration, anything. I'm not dealing here. Owning a tank means owning it, no lease required, and I've been paying for the fuel, not renting the tank. If they pursue a lien or strike back with more aggressive tactics, my next steps are clear. File a quiet title, a lawsuit to declare clear ownership, and defend my property rights in court. I've already consulted my attorney, and he's drafting a cease and desist focused on trespass, defamation, and false ownership claims. All I did was order some fuel to heat my home. I didn't sign any lease, and connecting a sticker on a neighbor's buried tank doesn't magically transfer ownership. I'm sorry, bill of sale? You don't have one. I have documented decades of ownership. You've only got a sticker and an empty threat. And if there's one thing I learned in the Midwest, it's that when someone tries to take your lantern, you grab your shotgun and meet them on the Heartland Sunrise. That would escalate things. For now, I'll stick to cameras and lawyers. They literally came onto your property and onto your 40-year-old fully paid-for propane tank to slap a sticker on it? That's trespass and a stunt so brazen it looms far worse than any missing paperwork. And our second story. Wore a suit to a gun club, got treated like a federal agent. My father-in-law, FIL, is a VP at a regional bank and is nearing retirement. He and my MIL live pretty far out of the city and commute into the city daily for work. He says he can only play just so much golf because of his arthritis, so he's looking for other hobbies to fill his time in retirement. He's an avid hunter, particularly of birds, pheasants, ducks, geese, and is involved with conservation clubs for some of those. That's how he came to know Michael. Michael, as well as being a member of the Duck Conservation Group, is also the president of a private shooting club that recently relocated from a plot of land close to the city to a plot close to my in-laws' house. Michael gave my FIL his business card for his shooting club and invited my FIL to come by and see if he'd consider becoming a member. So one day last spring, my FIL takes up Michael on the offer, calling to ask if a midweek evening would be all right for a tour of the club. That works for Michael, and my FIL is told to just show up with that business card and the guy at the front desk will let him in. I mentioned above that he's a VP at a regional bank. At that job, he wears a suit every day. So one evening after work, my father-in-law stops at the shooting club while on his way home. He shows Michael's business card to the guy working the front desk, who then pages Michael on the PA. Someone comes to the desk and tells the desk attendant and my FIL that Michael isn't there at the time but was on his way, as that person had spoken with Michael a few minutes earlier on the phone. That's fine. My father-in-law is happy to wait and asks if he can look around as he waits. This is where he got his first clue that a case of mistaken identity was underway. The desk attendant and the other member/worker/whatever give each other the side eye and reply, Sure, you can have a look around. Now, my FIL is not a stranger to this sort of club. He's been to them before. He walks over to the viewing window for the indoor pistol range, has a look around, nods to the attendant, and watches people shoot. He walks over to the wall of lockers, opens an unlocked one, and decides it seems sturdy and secure. At this time, another member/worker/whatever walks up and asks my father-in-law if he has any questions or needs anything, and gets the reply that my FIL is looking around while waiting for Michael. My father-in-law walks out to the trap/skeet range and watches for a while, then walks over to the tactical shooting range. He hadn't seen one like that before, so he spent some time watching. While he's out there, yet another person approaches him and asks if he has any questions or concerns. He comes back inside and goes toward the gunsmith's desk, stopping on the way to read a poster concerning ammunition purchases at the club. At this time, he noticed Michael walk in, and the front desk attendant points him directly to my father-in-law. Michael laughs out loud and walks over to my FIL. When he reaches him, Michael tells my father-in-law that the front desk staff had called him earlier and advised that a guy who looked like he might be an ATF agent was waiting to speak with him at the club. Then Michael had gotten 3 other calls from members who were concerned that the man in the suit was informally inspecting their facility while waiting for him and wanted Michael to get there in a hurry to handle the situation. Michael announces out loud to anyone within earshot, "This is Bill. He's not ATF. He's a prospective member." So my FIL then gets an official tour from Michael, who specifically introduces him with a laugh to each member who'd called about the ATF agent inspecting the club. Eyes were rolled, groans were uttered, and my father-in-law joined the club a couple weeks later. If you own a suit, a pair of scrubs, and a high-vis vest, you can get in anywhere just by acting confident. Bonus points if you carry a clipboard. And our last story. 200 homes versus 1 barn and a '68 Mustang. I never imagined a property dispute would turn into a full-blown battle, but life in rural Oregon had other plans. Back in the early 90s, my parents bought 40 acres tucked into the edge of a national forest near a small town in the Cascades. When they passed, I inherited the land. In 2006, I sold 15 acres to a developer who planned a small residential subdivision. The terms were generous, 10 acres at market value, then another 5 at a significantly higher price due to planned expansion. I kept the remaining 25 acres for myself. For years, my land sat untouched. I'd go out a few times a year to clear brush, mend fences, and just breathe in the trees. Then in 2018, the new development went from paper to pavement. 200 homes built directly adjacent to my woods. That's when trouble started. It began subtly, a note left on my gate saying my barn was too large. Then came formal letters. My outbuilding didn't comply with their 7x7 accessory structure rule. They cited me for having an abandoned vehicle, a '68 Mustang chassis awaiting restoration, a non-standard mailbox, and roof tiles that didn't match community code. Here's the kicker. I never signed any HOA agreement. I wasn't part of their neighborhood. My land wasn't in their jurisdiction. Still, they claimed I owed $13,500 in back dues plus fines. They cited a vague clause about contiguous development. I took everything, property deeds, the sale contract, maps, to a lawyer, He confirmed I wasn't beholden to them. We sent a cease and desist. That quieted them, briefly. A month later, I returned to find my mailbox ripped out and tossed in the ditch. My surveillance camera was gone. USPS flagged my address for mail obstruction. I replaced the mailbox, this time with reinforced steel, and reinstalled a stealth camera. That's when I found out what they really wanted, my land. They wanted a rec center, pool, and green space. Their community was boxed in on 3 sides, and my forested property was the last corner to claim. They figured if they could force me into the HOA, they could condemn and buy the land cheap. Nice try. I ran a full title search. The original developers had gone bankrupt. The HOA had been formed post-sale. At no point was I party to it. No annexation agreement, no easement, nothing. Their case, dead on arrival. Then came the calls. The HOA president left 3 voicemails. I didn't respond. My lawyer did. In January 2020, their lawyer requested a meeting. I agreed with counsel. Only 2 board members even showed up. The HOA attorney seemed clueless, flipping through my documents like they were written in code. We laid it all out. Land sale records, tax boundaries, jurisdictional lines. That's when it unraveled. Turns out the president and treasurer had funneled community dues into a failed construction project and tried to recoup their losses by targeting me. The board was furious. At the next HOA meeting, they were ousted. In the aftermath, the new board formally apologized. They agreed to pay for mailbox replacement and gravel removal. They dumped some on my access road. They even offered to buy my land at market value, no conditions attached. I accepted the gravel repair reimbursement, filled in the damage, and restored the access trail. My barn stayed. The car project continued. As for the land, I'm still considering the sale. The offer is good, real good. And unlike the HOA, these folks are playing fair. No matter what I decide, the message is clear. They pushed, I pushed back, and I won. That forested acreage still belongs to me, and if I sell it, it'll be on my terms. No forced HOA, no phony liens. I like how you turned their dirty tricks back on them without stooping to vandalism or petty retaliation. Instead of burning bridges, you forced an honest reckoning. They apologized, replaced your mailbox, repaired your road, and even offered you a clean, fair market deal. You win both the moral and the practical victory. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.